Hey everyone! Welcome back to Speak English Fluently. I'm Emma, and as always, I'm here with James.
Hey everyone! It's great to have you here. Today, we're talking about something that frustrates many English learners: memorizing.
Yes, so many learners believe the only way to get better is by memorizing words, phrases, or grammar rules. But the truth is, memorizing doesn't always lead to fluency.
Exactly. We'll talk about why memorization fails and how you can start understanding English naturally, the way native speakers do.
Think about it. When a child learns their first language, they don't memorize lists of words. They listen, understand meaning through context, and start using words naturally.
Right. And yet, as adults, we often forget that language is about connection, not collection. You can collect 1,000 words, but if you don't know how to use them in real life, they stay locked in your mind.
That's a powerful way to put it. Connection, not collection. So maybe we should start by asking, why do people rely on memorization in the first place?
Good question. I think it's because memorization gives the illusion of progress. When you write a word 10 times or repeat a list, you feel productive, but it's not always real progress.
Yes, exactly. It feels safe because it's structured. But real learning is messy. You make mistakes, you forget, and you relearn. That's where true understanding happens.
Absolutely. Fluency grows through experience, not repetition alone. If you use English in different contexts, reading, listening, speaking, the language becomes part of you.
So let's break down how learners can shift from memorizing to understanding. The first step, I'd say, is context learning.
Context learning? Yes. Instead of memorizing a word like run in isolation, see it in action. Run a business, run late, run away, run out of time.
Exactly. Every expression has its own meaning. When you learn through examples, your brain connects words with ideas, not translations.
And when that happens, you stop translating in your head. That's when English starts to flow naturally, like your own language.
I love that moment. It's when learners start thinking in English, not converting from their mother tongue.
It's magical, isn't it? Suddenly, sentences start forming automatically. That's when you know you're moving from memory to mastery.
Beautifully said. Now, the second step to understanding English is immersion. You don't need to live abroad. You can create immersion wherever you are.
Exactly. Listen to podcasts, watch English shows, read books, and most importantly, think about what you hear. Don't just let the words pass by. Engage with them.
That's so true. When I was learning French, I realized I improved most when I stopped focusing on learning and started enjoying the content. Movies, songs, and little daily conversations.
Yes, the moment learning becomes enjoyable, your brain becomes relaxed, and a relaxed brain remembers better.
That's a great point, James. Many learners don't realize how stress blocks memory. When you're anxious, your brain literally stops absorbing new information.
Exactly. So if you're tense, repeating words won't help much. But if you're curious and calm, understanding becomes effortless.
It's kind of like planting seeds. If the soil is dry, meaning your mind is stressed, nothing grows. But if the soil is soft and rich, ideas take root naturally.
That's a beautiful metaphor. So in other words, instead of forcing yourself to remember, you should let your mind absorb English.
Yes, and that absorption happens through constant exposure, small, daily doses of meaningful input.
Like listening to short English audios every morning, reading one article a day, or even journaling about your day in English.
Exactly. Those small actions matter more than hours of rote memorization because you're using the language in real ways.
And when you use language with emotion, something you care about, your memory becomes stronger naturally.
Right. You remember things that matter to you. So if you tie English to your life, it stays with you.
That's the key. Real connection, real meaning.
So let's imagine a learner named Arjun. He studies English for hours every day. Flashcards, grammar drills, vocabulary apps. But when he tries to speak, his mind goes blank.
Oh yes, I've met many Arjuns. It's not that he isn't smart or hardworking. The problem is his brain has stored words without context. He memorized them like numbers, not like living ideas.
Exactly. Words are not just sounds. They carry emotions, stories, tone, and rhythm. When we learn naturally, we connect all of those things together.
That's why listening is so powerful. When you listen to conversations, movies, or podcasts, you learn not only vocabulary, but how people actually use it.
Right. For example, the phrase "what's up" can mean hello, but it can also mean how are you doing, or even what's happening, depending on the tone.
Exactly. Memorizing translations doesn't prepare you for that kind of nuance. Understanding does.
So the next practical tip is, instead of studying English like a subject, live it like a language.
That's beautifully said, Emma. You don't study your mother tongue. You live in it. You hear it. You feel it. You use it. English should be the same.
Yes, it's like swimming. You can't learn swimming from a book. You have to get into the water. The same goes for English.
I love that example. You can read 100 swimming techniques, but until you jump in, you'll never truly know how it feels.
And that's where many learners struggle. They stay at the edge, memorizing words and grammar, but they never jump into real conversation.
Yes, and jumping in doesn't mean perfection. It means allowing yourself to make mistakes, because mistakes are the path to understanding.
I think that's the hardest part for many people, the fear of being wrong. They want to sound perfect, but that perfection mindset blocks progress.
Exactly. You can't understand a language if you're scared of using it. Real understanding grows from experience, not from avoiding errors.
So true. You need to make peace with your mistakes, because every mistake teaches you something valuable about how English really works.
I remember one of my students who kept saying, "I am agree." Instead of correcting him harshly, I asked, "Why do you say that?" He said, "Because in my language we use am with everything."
That's such a good story. And when you explained how agree already works as a verb, he never forgot it because he understood the logic, not just the rule.
Exactly. When something makes sense, you don't need to memorize it. It stays with you naturally.
That's why real teachers or good materials focus on examples, not definitions. You can feel the meaning instead of forcing it into your memory.
Yes, and that brings us to another point: repetition with meaning. You can repeat things, but repeat them in context, not in isolation.
Like listening to the same short story several times. Each time, you catch new details, pronunciation patterns, or rhythm. That's meaningful repetition. ...
Exactly. It's active learning. Your brain connects dots, forms patterns, and eventually, English becomes part of your thinking process.
And that's how understanding is built, layer by layer. You stop memorizing and start feeling the language.
It's like music, isn't it? You don't memorize every note. You listen, feel the rhythm, and then play naturally.
Beautiful comparison. English is music, rhythm, emotion, pauses, and tone. If you try to memorize each word like a note, you lose the melody.
So for our listeners, the question is, how can you build that musical sense of English?
Start by listening daily. Even 10 minutes a day of focused listening can change your brain. Choose content you enjoy. Stories, shows, podcasts like ours.
Exactly. The more your brain enjoys something, the deeper it learns. You'll start noticing phrases that repeat, grammar patterns that feel natural, and pronunciation that becomes familiar.
And don't stop there. I'd say also try shadowing, listening and repeating at the same time. It's one of the best ways to move from memorizing to internalizing.
Yes, shadowing helps you match the rhythm and tone of natural English speech. You begin to think less and speak more.
I love that moment when learners stop translating mid-sentence and just speak. That's when understanding takes over.
And the best part? It doesn't take years. It just takes consistency. 15 to 30 minutes every day of real, meaningful English.
That's right, because the brain builds fluency like muscle, not through cramming, but through daily practice.
Exactly. Imagine trying to get fit by going to the gym once a month for 10 hours. It doesn't work. Same for English. A little every day is what counts.
Consistency and emotion. Those two together are unstoppable. When you love what you're learning, you don't have to memorize.
That's so true. I remember learning Spanish. I never sat with a vocabulary list. I just listened to songs and tried to understand the lyrics. Over time, it just clicked.
That's the magic of natural learning. The moment it becomes personal, the words stop being foreign.
Exactly. And when you stop forcing yourself to remember, you start noticing. You notice how sentences are formed, how expressions repeat, how meaning connects.
That's a wonderful point, James. Noticing. The best learners are not those who memorize the most, but those who notice the most.
Yes, they see patterns, they observe how people speak, and they adapt naturally. That's real understanding.
So if we summarize this so far, to stop memorizing, start living English. Use it daily. Connect emotionally. Repeat meaningfully. And notice patterns.
Exactly. Understanding grows from use, not from storage. Language is meant to be used, not archived.
That's a strong reminder. So let's dive a little deeper. What about grammar? Many learners feel grammar forces them into memorization.
Good question. Grammar is not the enemy. It's the map of the language. The problem is when people try to memorize the map instead of walking the path.
That's such a great metaphor. You don't memorize the roads, you explore them. After a while, you know them by heart.
Exactly. You learn grammar best when you see it in action. When you read or listen, notice how sentences are structured naturally.
Yes, and try using them in your own sentences. Don't worry about being perfect. Just experiment. Each sentence you form builds understanding.
That's how even native speakers learned, by trial and error, not by memorization.
And the fun part is, the more you use it, the more automatic it becomes. You stop thinking about rules and start thinking about meaning.
Right. Real fluency is when grammar supports you subconsciously, like an invisible guide, not a heavy rulebook.
Exactly. Grammar should help you express, not limit you.
That's the natural approach. When you understand, grammar feels like a friend. When you memorize, it feels like a cage. Dot.
That's so true. And maybe this is a good moment to remind everyone. If you want to sound fluent, focus more on clarity and emotion, not on perfection.
Absolutely. Fluent people are not perfect. They're confident and connected.
Yes, and confidence comes from understanding what you say, not remembering it.
Exactly. When you understand, you can explain the same idea in many ways. That flexibility is fluency. Dot, dot, dot.
That's such a beautiful thought, James. True fluency isn't knowing everything. It's being able to express something in your own words.
Exactly. And that's impossible through memorization alone. You must truly feel what you're saying.
You know, sometimes learners ask me, Emma, should I memorize idioms or phrasal verbs? And I always say, learn them through stories, not lists.
Yes, because stories show you how idioms breathe. You understand when and why they're used, and that's what makes them stick.
Exactly. You can remember hundreds of idioms that way, not because you forced yourself, but because you saw them in real conversations.
So if you're listening right now, maybe start collecting not words, but examples. Save sentences that inspire you. Use them later.
That's such a practical idea. Build your own English Moments notebook. One sentence, one feeling, one memory at a time.
And over time, you'll realize you didn't memorize English. You became English in your way of thinking and expressing.
Beautifully said. And that's exactly what we want for every learner listening today. Oh,
So before we close, Emma, what's one final piece of advice for someone who's tired of memorizing and wants to start understanding naturally?
I'd say slow down and enjoy the process. Listen more than you study. Observe more than you repeat. English is not a subject, it's a rhythm. Feel it.
That's perfect advice. And I'll add, consistency matters more than speed. 10 minutes of understanding beats 2 hours of memorizing every single time.
So true. And remember, friends, fluency is built through connection, not collection.
Exactly. Live the language. Feel it, use it, breathe it. That's the real path to mastery.
And on that note, thank you all for joining us on Speak English Fluently.
We hope today's episode helped you see English in a new light. Not something to memorize, but something to live.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, and tell us in the comments, what's one thing you'll stop memorizing and start understanding today?
Until next time, keep learning, keep smiling, and keep speaking English fluently.
See you soon, everyone.